imagine, like, depression is real. Today I'm back with another story time. If you guys enjoyed my previous story times, please subscribe and press the like button below. Feel free to comment on my videos anytime you feel like saying something. I love interacting with you guys and would love to do it more. Anyway guys, so today I'm going to talk about how I found out I was depressed. So the reason why I'm doing this video is that I just want to put awareness out there about depression and mental health and how to take care of yourself, because most of the times when we fall into depression, we don't even know that we're depressed, and that's exactly what happened to me. When I fell into my depression, I didn't know that I was depressed. But yeah, I wanted to explain the difference between deep sadness and depression. So basically, when I went to varsity 2013, I had to take a gap year because all the courses were full and I didn't apply on time. But because the course that I wanted to do, like, I wanted to do a particular course, but I was discouraged to do it because parents were like, that's a useless course. So I opted to choose anything. So I went to Vaal University of Technology, and then I got there, chose a course, and they were like, nope, the course is full. You can do an extended course if you want, but it's not necessary because you qualify for main course. But I was like, you know what, I am doing the extended course. Even though I qualify, I am doing the extended course. So I did the extended course for like 6 months, and during that 6 months I decided to apply for main course while I was doing the extended course, and then they accepted me for main course, so there was no use to continue doing the extended course, right? So during the extended courses are offered to people who sometimes don't qualify for the main course, and then they have to prove that they can handle the pressure of varsity in that duration of the extended course, in the duration of a year. And then so when I was doing the extended course, I was acquainted with people that I was going to do my main course with should they pass and go through. So long story short, I dropped out 6 months later and I had to go home. So up to this point, it was the first time I had to live at home. I've never lived at home ever since I was 6 years old. So it was the first time I had to live at home with my mom. And because I was a teenager, you know, teenagers was like, I didn't really interact much with my mom because I thought I was too cool, you know. So when I was in my hometown, I think one day I came across a particular guy who I was acquainted with the time I was doing like my extended course at the Vaal, but I think he was getting done with his studies, so he had gotten a job with a company around like my area. So because I was used to like the partying, alcohol, smoking weed at varsity, this particular guy used to like smoking weed. So one thing led to another, and he told me like, let's chill. And then when we're chilling, obviously we would smoke weed majority of the time. We wouldn't even drink alcohol, we'd just smoke weed majority of the time. Long story short, we're never intimate, we're just acquaintances. So this is what I would do like 6 months straight while I was home. Like, I would sleep in, wake up at a particular time, bath, go to this particular guy, and I smoke weed with him, you know. Like, it was a boring life. I mean, it's a gassy life because my mom initially moved. But anyway, so after the 6 months, I was ready to go back to school. Now it was time for me to go start my main course. So I opted to study occupational health and safety. Even though it was not my first love, I opted to do it anyway because I had to choose something. That's my parents' word. So when I got there, obviously I was already acquainted with a lot of people that I was doing a course with. I already knew the facilities, like I knew my way around. So at some point I thought to myself, guys, like I need to like look very, very cool next year. So I decided that I'm gonna go buy like all black clothes. Okay, I'm gonna buy all black clothes and I'm gonna start wearing black every day. And when I mean start wearing black every day, my makeup was black. I had black lipstick. I had a lot of piercings. I shaved the sides of my head like to do a mohawk, and I relaxed the middle and I left like my hair like that. Imagine, guys. But at the time I thought it was really cool. Okay, alright, if any of you want to see like pictures of me and my first year in varsity, keep on watching. At the end of the video, I'm gonna put up some of the pictures of how I looked at that time. At the time, I really thought I was cool. I used to even wear a fork, guys, like a fork bracelet. I used to wear a pedal lock around my neck. Woo, guys, I couldn't see I thought I was cool. Okay, so yeah, I wore like that, and I started becoming popular. Like, people knew me. If they didn't know my name, they knew me because of how I presented myself. That girl in black. Some people thought like I was demonic. Some people thought I was cool. Like, yeah, and people were really interested in what course am I doing if I looked so exotic. So some of them said. And every time I'd go like occupational health and safety, they'd go like, what? Hold up. We thought you were going to tell us like photography, graphics, something, arts, like, you know. I'm like, nah, guys, like, honestly, it's that, like, safety. So, okay, because I was acquainted with a lot of people, when I went to class, like, my first day, guys, like, it was like a reunion. Like, yo, guys, like, I would greet everyone, talk to everyone, like, yeah, you remember, because, you know, I knew them, and some of them were shocked that, oh my god, you in class? We thought that you dropping out meant that you failed and you couldn't continue. And I was like, no, I qualified for main course either way. So I started becoming a socialite, partying all the time, drinking all the time, smoking weed majority of the time. I wouldn't say bad friends, but I had friends who really liked partying. Okay, and at some point I became the life of the party, meaning that I would party with different people who sometimes socially they wouldn't interact with each other, but I would party with different people all the time. So the friends that I used to party with a lot, I think at some point, I think maybe like before the first semester ended, both of them quit school or something like that. So initially they had to move and they had to leave varsity. So obviously at this point, like, I am known, everybody knows me, everybody wants to be around me. Not everybody, but majority of the people that I know wants to be around me, chill with me. And basically I was getting burnt out, because if any person who went to high school with me will tell you that every time they described me, they would go like, that girl is a reserved, quiet girl. Like, I had a bitch resting face. Like, a lot of guys, even in high school, were afraid to even approach me because I just looked so mean. Like, yo, guys, like, I didn't talk much. I just liked my own space, okay? But the few people that knew me, they knew that I was kind, I was bubbly when I was around them. But I didn't give myself like that to everyone, just like I did when I got to varsity, like my first year. So long story short, after my friends quit, first semester ended, academically everything was fine, I did well. And then the second semester came. When the second semester came, because those friends were gone, the ones that I would party with primarily, like, it hit me hard. It made me question, why am I going to school? Why am I studying something that I don't really like? Like, it made me question a lot. I called my mom and I'm like, Mama, I want to drop out and change a course or something. My mom was like, no, you started it, you finish it. I'm like, ish, yeah, I forgot to ish again. Doesn't take nonsense. So I was like, okay, cool. Since I started it, I'll finish it. So second semester came, went to class every now and then, but I changed communes. So at this point I was living at a commune, so I changed communes. So I went to go live at a commune where, like, yo, guys, that commune, like, I can't even remember like any person going to school. Like, a lot of them didn't go to school, or if they did go to school, they went to school part-time, so they went to school at night, so you wouldn't really see them. So basically all they would do in that commune is party, smoke weed. But the weed was just like number one, it was a priority. So they self-proclaimed themselves that, like, they're stoners. So I would smoke with them, acquainted myself with them. Like, it was a vibe. I enjoyed it, but I didn't know that that was going to be my downfall. Obviously, I've been through a lot of traumatic things. If you've listened to my previous story times, like you would have known some of the traumatic things I went through. I went through a lot of traumatic things when I was younger, and it was things that I never really dealt with because I never really spoke about them. Even to my closest friends at the time, I never really spoke about those things. I was just always bubbly. I just always looked like I was unbothered. So I would start smoking weed, and I enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved being high. I really, really did. So it got to a point where I started to learn how to roll. I started to learn how to roll. I started to learn how to like buy weed. I knew where to get it. Like all of those things that stoners did on a daily, I knew how to do now, you know. And it wasn't so taboo because a lot of people like smoked weed, and I feel like even now a lot of people still smoke weed. So what had happened was, that I started like smoking weed on my own. And at some point I remember I went to go buy like 6 packets of weed, and I rolled like 12 joints at once. Like, so I emptied out all of those pockets and like I rolled like 12 joints at once, and I started smoking these joints as if like it's cigarettes, you know. Like every time I would smoke it, I'd get high. When the high goes down, I smoke it again so that I can maintain the highness. So a point where even when I got high, I didn't eat food anymore because I knew that your high like subsides when you eat food. So I would drink water just to maintain the high. So up to this point, I'm not feeling anything. And when I mean I'm not feeling anything, that feeling of sadness that I used to feel majority of the time because of my trauma, it wasn't there. I was just not feeling anything. I just didn't have the willingness to live. I was always in my room watching series. I didn't eat much, but I didn't realize that I didn't eat much at the time. Some of the things that I'm telling you guys is some of the things that I realized after. So I started going to class high, and then at some point I started seeing that going to class high is just not for me. So I stopped going to class altogether. I was just in my room all day, every day, avoided friends, and because my true friends like had dropped out, I really had nowhere to go because the other people I used to chill with them because I was bored once in a while. So they weren't really friends. They weren't really people who I would say were friends. So I started questioning my life. Why am I doing this? Why am I in varsity? Why can't I just change the course? Why can't I go do something that I want to do? But because my mom was like, stay there, I stayed, you know. So it got to a point where I remember there was a point where I switched off my phone for like 3 weeks so that I couldn't talk to anyone. And in the 3 weeks, all that I did was smoke weed, watch CBCs, and smoke. That's all that I did, okay? And I remember I used to live like, I wouldn't open the curtains, I wouldn't open the windows. Like my room was dark, like it was dark. I just liked it dark all day, every day. So at some point, after a while, I failed all of my subjects that semester. Not all, I failed majority of my subjects. I only passed one. Like I only qualified to write an exam in one of my subjects. So I initially told myself that, you know what, even though I qualified for one subject, I am gonna go write this subject, you know. And at this point, guys, like I wasn't feeling sad. Like I was just feeling like I don't understand, why am I living, because what's wrong, like I'm failing. And I thought in my mind, I also thought that maybe if I start to fail my subjects, my mom would see, or the girl is wasting money, the girl must come back and regroup. That's what I thought. But it didn't happen that way. My mom was just like, stay there, work hard, and finish what you started. So okay, time came for me to write this exam, and I woke up in the morning. I had to write the exam like on a Saturday, 9 o'clock. So I woke up early, bathed. I didn't really study for the exam because I was high. I really didn't study for it. But I'm sorry about the helicopter. I'm just gonna wait for it. Alright, so at this point, I didn't even study. I was high the previous night, so I just went to the exam room thinking, why wouldn't I pass? But I remember I had this feeling of like I had this feeling of sadness. Like there was just this sadness that was over me that I was trying not to think of. But remember, now I'm sober because I have to go write the test, and now I have to face the feelings that I'm feeling. So here I am walking to campus. I'm embarrassed, thinking that, like, what? I can't, like, I was just embarrassed that most of my classmates would notice that I didn't write majority of my exams. And given the fact that I wasn't coming to class, and it's not that I didn't want to come to class, I had so much anxiety at that point. I didn't even know that I had anxiety, but I was afraid to go to class initially at some point because I just felt like, I don't know, I was just afraid to go to class. I just didn't want to be seen. I just didn't want to have to, like, talk to people, smile with them, interact with them. I didn't want that. I didn't want to talk. I just wanted to be in my own space. So I remember going to class, and when I went to class, to the venue, I went to go write. And when I got to the venue, guys, like, the feeling of sadness was just too much. And when they handed out the papers for us to write, when I had to write my name, I forgot how to spell my surname. Imagine. So now anxiety was just kicking in, and for the life of me, I just didn't know how to spell my surname. And like, guys, like, I've written my surname like 1,000 times, for sure 1 billion times at this point. Because I mean, how many times have I written up to this point? So I had forgotten how to spell my surname, but eventually I came all right. And as I was writing the paper, my mind wasn't there. Like, my mind wasn't on the paper. Like, I don't even know what the hell was I writing. But I remember in that moment, all I could think about was, how is the quickest way to kill myself? You know, that's all that I was thinking about. I was like, how is the quickest way to kill myself? Because, I mean, I failed every subject, so my mom was gonna kill me. But at the same time, I don't have friends because I alienated myself from everyone. But my 2 friends dropped out who I used to party with and go with everywhere. So it really, really hit me hard. And I just started thinking about ways, like, guys, like, I just started thinking about ways. And I remember there was a point where I was thinking, if I were to climb like a certain building at my campus, if I fall down, I was like, what will happen? After the exam, I started Googling, like, if I were to, like, climb a 2-story, like, flat or whatever, would a person die on impact? And I found out that no, a person wouldn't die on impact. And I remember I wanted to slit my wrists, and I was researching how quick or how long would it take for me to, like, go out of consciousness after I had slit my wrist in a bath. I remember I even researched, like, which artery to pop on your neck so that you bleed out. And I was just looking at these things after I came back from writing my exams, and I think I smoked 2 joints back to back, and I dozed off, so I just slept. So initially I had changed my jeans into pajamas, and on top I was just wearing the same top that I was wearing when I was going to the exam, you know. But at this point I had so much anxiety that I was going to forget to wake up to write my exam that I still had that anxiety even though I had written the exam. So I think around 4 o'clock I woke up, 4 p.m. I woke up, and I just bolted out of my room, guys. Like, I didn't even lock the door. I just ran out and I just started running. How? Maybe like 4 houses away, a guy that used to live at the commune that I used to, like, be fond of, he's like, "Girl, where you going?" I'm like, "No, I have to go ride." Guys, at this point, I don't even have my student card on me. I don't even have a pen on me. Like, I didn't even have shoes on, but I didn't realize this. So I'm confused with why is he confused that I'm going to ride. So he's like, dude, who rides on a 4 o'clock, like, on Saturday? And like, it's 4 o'clock. He's like, yeah. I'm like, what? And he's like, why are you wearing your pajama, like, your pajama pants? I'm like, and then I looked at myself, I'm like, shit, what? And he's like, dude, you look a mess. Where's your shoes? Like, you look a mess. I'm like, yo, guys, like, I thought I had forgotten to write my exam. And he laughed at me. He's like, no, girl, like, the weed is getting to you. Like, I feel like you should stop this weed thing. I went back to my room and I started thinking to myself, how could this happen to me? Like, how did I lose it like that and look so stupid in front of somebody that I know? I started crying. I started thinking about all the traumatic things that happened to me in my past. I started crying, and I remember, like, I just wanted to die. I just wanted to die. And results came. At some point, my results came. When my results came, I had failed. So this means, now it means that I failed everything. Basically, my second semester was a waste of money. So I remember thinking to myself, I'm not gonna go home. And mind you, this time it's like maybe like the third week of November. So at some point, everybody's gonna go home, you know? I switched off my phone, went on a bench, smoking. And I would cry every now and then about things that I think of. I think of suicide. And honestly speaking, there was nobody that I could talk to. None of the people that I called friends called me. None of my actual friends were able to call me because my phone was off. I was basically alienating myself from everyone, like I said. So I woke up one morning and I was like, you know what? I just feel like ending my life. Like, I don't see why I'm living, because I can't even make decisions about my life. So let me just take myself out and shit. Like, poop. So I thought about it, but I was like, is this how I want to go out there? Like, is this how I want to leave this world? But I felt so lonely. There was no one. There was just no one there for me at that time. I remember there was just nobody who I could talk to. There was nobody who I could call and go like, hey, I'm struggling. Because, like I said, I was very bubbly, and the only side that people knew of me was the side that I presented to them. And it was like the bubbly side. So my body was giving up on the persona that I had put up. It was just giving up on me, and I didn't know how to pull myself back out. I remember I woke up, I think around 11 o'clock, and I was like, you know what, today I have only two options, because the weed had run out. I ran out of money, and like, it's December time. I told myself, it's either I'm gonna kill myself or I'm going to go home, right? So I thought about it for a minute, and then I started packing. I just started taking like random things from my room, and I just like left, locked the door. And to me, I thought I was never gonna come back to that place ever again. But I was like, you know what, I have two options: either I kill myself or I go home. Mind you, home, guys, home is like, from the Val to Limpopo, where I am from, it's like 5 hours away. I don't have a car. No, I'm relying on public transport. Imagine. So here I am. I think I had only like 300 rand in my pocket, and I was just like, you know what, I have to get home. I think going home was like 190 straight trip, and I didn't have extra money to like buy food or anything. I was just like, I am going home. So I remember I got to the taxi rank, and they were like, no, taxis to Limpopo, they're done, so you have to go like the Joburg route. So I had to take a taxi to Joburg, from Joburg to home. So I took a taxi to Joburg, and when I got to Joburg, I was in a certain taxi, and all of the customers went off the taxi, and I was the last one to be dropped off. And the taxi driver was like, what's that in that laptop bag? I'm like, it's a laptop. He's like, why would you do that? Do you see what time is it? At this time, like, it was around by like 2:05, like 4:45 or something like that. I was like, well, I had to leave in a hurry, so I couldn't put it anywhere else. He's like, okay, let's make a deal. I'm going to take you to the taxis where you have to go, and then you have to pay me extra so that, to ensure your safety. So I paid him extra, and I got off like the taxis that had to take me home. Went into the taxi, and when I went into the taxi, obviously I went home. It was a long ride. I thought about a lot of things on the way. Like, I was just going through a lot, At this point, I didn't even tell my mom that I'm coming home. So maybe around 9 o'clock, while I'm on the road, I said, my mom, please call. And I'm like, I'm on my way home. My mom was like, what the hell? This time of the night? Why? Why couldn't you wait for tomorrow? I'm like, no, guys. Like, ish, mama, you won't understand. I'll explain when I get home. So here I am, got home around 11:30. And when I got home, I was just I was sadder than before. Like I couldn't even face my mom. I just got home, bolted to my room, slept, and the next morning, like my aunt and my mom are very, very close. They're siblings, so they're very, very close. So my aunt is at my house every other day. The same with my mom at her house. So the next day when I woke up, I think I woke up like later on in the day, and when I woke up, I went outside to go see my mom where she was like sitting with my aunt. When my aunt saw me, she screamed. And I'm like, hey, was like, King. And my aunt was like, why are you so thin? What's wrong with you? Guys, it hit me. Like, I just started crying. I cried so much that it was as if like I couldn't breathe. Like, I just started crying. I had such a heavy heart. And my aunt was like, what's wrong? And I went to my room, locked myself up. And when I came out of the room, my mom tried asking me what was wrong with me. But I just told her to just drop it. So the rest of December, it was just me going through the emotions and me deciding, do I want to live? Do I want to continue? Or am I going to ask for help so that I talk to somebody? Because I was just going through the most, okay? I was going through the most. So long story short, my mom asked me if I want to see somebody that I could talk to. And I was like, yeah. I went for like, I think 1 session, spoke to the person, didn't feel any better really. She basically told me that I am depressed, and I had like 2 options. It's either I'm gonna drink medication for my depression, or I'm gonna come for a few more sessions for her to like really evaluate what type of depression I have and if I really, really need medication. But I decided not to go back, and I decided to start working on myself. I made a conscious decision that I'm gonna do things that make me happy. I made a decision that if I'm going to take 3 days or 4 days out of my life to just make sure that I'm okay, to self-introspect, I would do that. So when I went back to school the next year, I decided to change my commune. Like, I decided to start afresh and continue my academic journey and ensure that I don't keep a persona. Like, I don't try to keep up with like other people that I know that I can't keep up with. So I started becoming more reserved. I started becoming myself again, and the partying like really, really subsided. Not subsided, it was non-existent. And I stopped smoking weed. So yeah, I started motivating myself with like small tasks, and eventually